We're recording.
Start
We're
recording.
recording.
Alright. Um, so obviously the major headline that's been happening this past week is Tejas and the ERCOT power grid. Um, you threw this up on the doc. You want to start?
Yeah, due to some freak weather, we've got major power grid failures all over Texas, leaving people, without heat due to a failure to prepare for inclement weather. This has kind of been an issue for about like um, almost 10 years now, exactly 10 years. We had a similar like power issue in like 2011 and 14 due to just failure to keep up with infrastructure until something fails majorly like this. Um, and Texas representatives aren't doing really a great job of giving a sort of caring sense of like we're going to get through this, because the mayor of Colorado City like wrote this big ass Facebook post essentially uh, saying we don't owe you shit, just mask off about the role of government in I guess, a Republican representative's eyes. It's pretty fucked up. But yeah, their ERCOT is a private power grid that's cut off from, I guess, the entire rest of the country, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
So the nationalized power grid is broken up into three sections. Best way to look at it is probably like West Coast, Nevada, and over, and then there's a Midwest kind of Colorado over to like Illinois, and then Ohio over to the East Coast and Atlantic. So those are the three major sections, and they're all regulated and governed by the same Department of Energy. But it's just for capacity purposes that they're broken up. And yeah, but Texas is actually the lone state that is not connected to the national power grid. And it's what happened was they privatized, fell under a conglomerate called ERCOT, and this was about 10 years ago. Um, and they they did it to basically put basically make a couple people really rich in Texas, because there's a lot of oil refineries. A lot of the crude oil that's transported through pipes and pipelines goes down to Texas because they have a major refinery as a part of their industry there.
Gotcha. So they rely.
Um,
So they got a nice little operation down there. Everyone's bringing them their fucking oil and shit. And it's like, hey, why don't you just bring that oil over here? I'll clean it up for you, scrub it, dub it, dub it.
um, but yeah, and then but if they had been a part of the national grid, then someone from the DOE would have been down there to inspect their situation and said, hey, these wind turbines you got and these pipelines you got here, they need to be winterized.
Right.
And the local government would have been, but this is Texas, man. It
Texas
doesn't get
doesn't
cold
get
here.
cold. What are you talking about, man? We got snakes and boots, man. We're snake and boot country. We don't we what's snow? Who's she? Um
Who is she? No, this
who is
this
she?
winter storm. This is the third one they've had in 20 years, so they haven't had a lot. But they experienced a vortex similar to like what we've been dealing with in the Northeast and the Middle North, um, where it went
Vortex?
from, yeah, polar vortex.
Polar vortex.
Yeah, it's a not a new phenomenon, but it's a lot more common now where um the best way to describe it is swirling polar winds from the north are normally kept up there by like what's the best way to describe it? Like mountains of snow and glaciers and stuff. But since that's been melting due to climate change, the vortexes that are like spinning now have sort of more like free range to travel the Earth. So they're making their way south, and they kind of naturally do that. So the winters that we've had, where we would have like 40, 50-degree weather, and then it would inexplicably just like hit like single digits. That's kind of like what that is. So um, they dealt with that where, before last week it was like 60s in Texas, and then in some parts of Texas it fell to single digits. I think in some parts of Oklahoma it was like -6. And they didn't get like a ton of snow comparably. I think they got like 6 inches, but it's just a situation where infrastructure wise they're not built to deal with that.
Yeah, yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not something that they necessarily would prepare for. Or you would think, at least, like I wouldn't think they'd need to prepare for that. If I didn't know shit. Um,
Yeah,
and I don't. So there we go. But at the same time, like I'm thinking about, like, that's got to be crazy because it's such a warm place. All of a sudden, hit with all this cold weather, it's an instant amount of like fucking moisture in the air. If I'm harkening back to my like seventh grade science class about fucking weather, I'm pretty sure, isn't it like moisture in the air is caused by like cold air and warm air all coming
yes,
together, and then it like condenses, and it's like, ooh, then it's clouds. So at like those extreme temperatures of like, a Texas winter being like, 50s, 60s, whatever, and then it's all of a sudden the negatives, and it's like, oh shit. Huh. Oh, that's crazy. You can't. That's freakish nonsense.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and it's
I'm,
like, that's kind of shit that we, at least scientists have been saying we need to be, I guess, more prepared for, um, because of climate change. I'm pretty sure. Like, this seems to be
yeah. I
like,
mean,
I don't know. Uh, I'm not no scientist, but this feels like climate change.
it is because of climate change. I mean, the biggest thing is that polar vortexes, which are naturally occurring in the poles, north and south,
Hmm.
um, they're happening all the time. But the reason why they're escaping is because of major glacier melt and the release of greenhouse gases up in those areas. So there's less natural protection. It's the same idea as to why Florida and Georgia and like Louisiana deal with hurricanes so much worse now, because
Yeah,
there's been erosion of a lot of the natural land there that would keep um, those hurricanes at bay and weaken them before they reach like civilization. Um, like that was one of the major reasons why New Orleans had a huge issue with Katrina, was
hmm,
because out in that bay area there was like natural marsh and all that stuff that was industrialized at one point, but that was like a nature's protection against the elements for them. So when natural disaster strikes, it hits that much harder because we've been industrializing and um, getting rid of these areas for profit and building and all this stuff. I mean, the land that um, Ocean Avenue is built on in Miami is natural reef, or rather, they got rid of the natural reef and built a shopping strip that touches the water, and it's at water level. So, yeah, so like that's an area that was all natural land that protected against like large waves and stuff like that. That now, whenever they deal with heavier than regular rain, and wind and storms. I mean, that entire island area, which is a solid chunk of space, is always like flooded.
Wow. That's fucking wild.
Yeah, so it's due to climate change, and it's also due to the fact that we've been doing things just as a populace that are getting rid of Mother Nature's defenses
Well,
for
yeah.
wildlife.
All the goddamn industrialists
Yeah,
fucking mowing down natural resources and natural fucking barriers to inclement natural disasters that have put us in this precarious situation. No, but it really sucks because there are just tons of people down in Texas. I mean, things are kind of, I believe they're calming down slightly, like, but there are still people who are like without fucking food and water and just like slapped with nonsense fucking electric bills because of the way that their pricing model is set up. And it's like with the demand of electricity goes up, the price goes up, so everybody, despite the fact that they couldn't use electricity for 3 days, are getting like $5,000 to $10,000 charges. Like, what is this? What is that? How dare you?
so the way that energy companies work is that they charge based on usage per kilowatt hour, and since we have mostly privatized companies, they're basically free to charge whatever they want per kilowatt hour. So what ERCOT did was, since they were distributing and doing these rolling blackouts, is they quadrupled the cost or more. I mean, they price gouged the shit out of it because they said there was a scarcity of energy, which there was, but it's their fault. So now you have people who are facing giant electric bills um, because of this scarcity upcharge. I watched a TikTok where a guy was getting interviewed because he received a bill for $17,000 for just like 2 weeks worth of usage.
Whomst the fuck do you think you are, ERCOT? Or is that what it's called? They're called ERCOT, right?
ERCOT, yeah, ERCOT.
ERCOT. That sounds like something you say when you like taking a shit. Just like ERCOT.
I was gonna say it sounds like an evil corporation in fucking Resident Evil.
I mean, it does. It definitely sounds like Umbrella's subsidiary, ERCOT. You know,
Yeah. So
what is that
yeah,
backwards? Toker? That's not anything.
that.
Tokray? That's not. That's nothing. It is.
But yeah, no. The problem is we face this kind of issue anywhere. Now we haven't dealt with this in the Northeast, but here in Philly, we have Pico, which is a subsidiary of Exelon, and
Mm,
Exelon is an energy company that sort of takes over the majority of the Northeast, to the
yeah.
sense where if they wanted to, they could do the same exact thing. And this is the market that capitalists have created, where they allow people to essentially charge whatever they want because they say, oh well, competition will drive down the prices and up the product quality. But when you have a parent company like Exelon that owns every subsidiary for every single state in the Northeast,
Hmm,
it doesn't
hmm.
matter. It's
No,
the
it's
same
not.
idea as when I was in Tennessee, and I was assisting my ex girlfriend, well, my girlfriend at the time, now my ex, her mother in getting internet. Um, I called Verizon, right?
Yeah.
Because I was gonna get some FiOS or what have you.
Hello. Would you like Verizon? I'm just sorry. I'm being goofy. My bad. Anyway, so
So yeah, so I did that, and they said, oh no no, we don't have control over the box in your district. I'm like, huh? She's like, yeah yeah. So according to the service map, your cul-de-sac belongs to AT&T. So it's what it is it's a AT&T Uverse is like, even though they're separate companies, they work in collaboration,
oh yeah.
not in competition.
Nope.
They dole out districts to each other based on service boxes, and then they decide the price of the market together.
Hmm.
So then that's why, if you put in a different, they actually use zip code, right? When you go on to like Verizon.com or Comcast to look up for service, they ask your zip code,
Right.
because it's going to determine, how much you pay based on location.
Yeah.
Because nationally, they don't have the same price across the board. But the price would be the same in that district, regardless. Like if you went one cul-de-sac over and it was actually Verizon instead of Uverse,
Yes.
their price for the same speed plan, what have you, would be exactly the same because it's all within this collaboration, you
Hmm.
know. And they call it, oh well, we're just bringing you the best service. You get their coverage, we get their coverage, we get their speeds, yada yada yada. Everyone wins out, but in the end, it's a way for these corporations to charge way more than they should for a service.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, exactly. I mean, they can kind of in conjunction, just like be
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, we might just like up our price a little bit for this thing. Oh, we'll up our
Yeah,
price for this thing. Yeah.
and it depends on you know who owns what company and whether or not states have certain regulations because it varies per state. So here in Pennsylvania, or at least in the Philadelphia area,
Right.
we
Right.
don't have that. We do have a competition, but there's only two companies. There's Comcast and Verizon. There's no AT&T. There's no Cox. There's no Turner. Any of those.
There's no cut.
In some places,
That's
you have
crazy.
more companies, right?
Yeah.
Like you might have like Fox, Cox, Turner, like all those, but some of them
Optimal.
are owned by the same thing. Like Turner actually owns Spectrum and Cox, but you might have all three of them in an area,
Hmm.
and so you think that there's this illusion of competition and choice when there isn't because there's a parent company for everything.
It's all the same parent company. If you go into like, yeah, if you go and like get go to the toothpaste aisle, you see all the different toothpastes. Find out that it's like the same two parent companies that make all the different toothpastes.
Yeah,
And
I mean, there's like six food companies just in
right.
total for like every food product in general in the U.S.
Yep. Six of them.
You know, and there's like only two that make cereal. There's like Kellogg and whatever the other one is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know it because I
Yeah,
don't
me
really eat
either.
cereal like that. But yeah, it's like yogurt only has like two companies. Um, Yoplait, I think, is one.
Yeah, you got Nestle, PepsiCo, General Mills, and Kellogg's. General Mills and Kellogg's are the two cereal brands.
Yep, yep,
Yep.
yep, yep.
Associated British Foods. I can't read that.
And here's the thing: they make the same thing, right? Like both have a brand of like Frosted Flakes. Like I believe General Mills makes Frosted Flakes, the brand,
Hmm.
like the with Tony the Tiger.
Yeah.
But then Kellogg has their own version of it, right?
Right.
Which is just called something else, and it's the same thing, and they cost the same amount. So
Hmm.
there's no competition, and there's no driving down prices for the consumer. It's we make the same thing, even if there is a competition between two companies. We make the same thing. We just charge the same.
Yep.
You know?
Ah, the illusion of choice. I feel like I'm in the
Yeah.
Matrix, like all the time. It feels so dumb. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, oh,
Well, it has the backwards effect because even if you have two companies that are competing in a product field,
mhm.
like in a market, it doesn't matter because instead of charging the lowest based on competition, they're going to see who can get away with charging the most without losing profits. So that's like it's the same idea as like what gas stations do when they're across the street from each other. You got a fucking Citgo on one side, you got a fucking Sunoco on the other side,
Yeah.
right? And you got fucking Lukoil down the street. And what happens is one of them is like, you know what? Today I'm going to do 273 when all of us are at 270. Next thing you know, the other two are at 273 also. So they're like, oh shit, we can charge 273, you know?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
And, finding the cheapest gas is usually not on the mind of people who are buying gas. Like I passed a Lukoil that was down the street from a Sunoco, like literally like a quarter mile, that was charging like 350 for regular. Sunoco down the street is charging 278. So that's a huge disparity. But the Lukoil was still full of cars because they're just like gas. I just need gas, you know.
Right. That's wild.
So this whole idea of natural competition creates
Like creates a, yeah, creates a varying field of different providers of services at varying degrees of quality. It's like, nah, man, dude, it's like all the same shit ran by the same like three people, or like the same three companies.
Yeah, it never happens. And then what happens also is, they'll be like, oh well, just start a competition, just start a competitor, start your own business. And I'm like, you want me to compete with a $1 billion conglomerate that owns like 7 other companies? No, what's going to happen is if I get big enough, they're going to buy me out,
Yep.
and I'll never reach that level of competition in the market
Mm-hmm.
because I won't be able to charge low prices that they do because they own everything. It's the same idea as Amazon buying Whole Foods, you know?
True.
And now Amazon delivers, and, companies like Shipt and Peapod are like dying because Amazon delivers Whole Foods. I'm pretty sure Amazon is just bought another one, like another major, like Weiss or something, I think.
Really? Are they gonna like
Yeah, or like
they own
ShopRite.
Instacart?
So, because the thing is, like Whole Foods, Amazon does own Instacart. I'm pretty sure, actually. I'm pretty sure they bought Instacart a couple of years ago.
Huh?
But like they bought Whole Foods, so now they're in that market. Fresh Market's like basically entirely gone because of that,
Everything.
right? Because they now deliver when Fresh Market didn't,
Right.
and now they've bought a regular grocery store brand, so it's going to stamp out like Peapod and Shipt and stuff like that.
Fuck.
And that's the thing. When one company becomes powerful enough to do that, they can.
Yeah.
And we went over this with Plaid there back a bunch of episodes ago. But there's a reason why companies that are as big as like Google and Microsoft could not break into the streaming community because Twitch was just too powerful at that point. They owned that. They had the whole user base already.
Right. Shit.
Like YouTube doesn't even really bother to compete with Twitch. Like they have their own session for it, but they don't really give a shit. That's not their base.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But this is Google we're talking about. Like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google are like the three most powerful companies in the world.
Yeah, but Amazon owns Twitch now, though.
Amazon has owned Twitch for a long time. That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Yeah, so like Amazon is Twitch, Google is YouTube Gaming, Microsoft tried to do Mixer. Now Microsoft has paired with Facebook
Right.
to do Facebook Gaming,
Mm.
which is not really that popular because the age base of Facebook is not the people that are watching streams.
Right. I mean, maybe.
Like Gen Z is like not on Facebook.
Gen Z's not on Facebook, but you know what? Someone's grandma is watching a gaming stream right now, going, "Look at my handsome boy."
Or there's some grandpa watching a Call of Duty stream. He's like, this reminds me of Nom.
Exactly. There you go. You know,
Charlie everywhere. They're in the trees.
I don't.
So, sort of rounding back here to the Texas power grid situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
The responsibility of leaders, right? Like Ben Shapiro had the most garbage take in the fucking world. That's not a surprise.
Wait. Hold on. Jed. I have to stop you. You're telling me that Ben Shapiro had a bad take?
Yeah. All right. So welcome to our new segment called the Daily Why.
Why?
Why? As in, why the fuck do conservatives constantly fucking own themselves and just say the dumbest shit?
The Daily Why don't conservatives shut the fuck up?
Like, yeah, seriously. This is inspired by Ben Shapiro's The Daily Wire, but it's The Daily Why. And here's what happened. Ben Shapiro has his own YouTube show under The Daily Wire where it's basically his podcast. He talks for like 45 minutes about bullshit. And he was talking about Texas. And Hassan Piker did a really good response to this, so did Bosch. But he says, well, what Ted Cruz did wasn't right, but honestly, what could he have done in that situation? I'm like, literally anything else. That's what he could have done. Like stop defending, this bullshit of just complacent leadership. Like you have leaders from states that aren't even Texas, like AOC, who are putting, a full amount of effort towards relief. So Ted Cruz, which everyone already knows at this point, jetted off to Cancun and then blamed his children. Like he threw his children under the bus. He's like, "Oh, they're the ones that wanted the vacation." Like you say no as a parent. You just say no. Like, dude, if my kid, Norma walked in here the other day and was like, "Can I get V-Bucks?" And I said no, and that was the end of it.
It's the power of being a parent. I think that that's weird. That's an angle that he went for. Like, listen, what would you do in the middle of a pandemic if your daughter said, "Daddy, I just really want to go to Cancun"? Like, that's that's the oof.
Ted Cruz has money. He can reschedule that vacation for like a month later. Like this dude is worth millions. Okay,
Yeah, he
he
could
already makes
easily.
the congressional salary, which is $174,000 a year. That is enough money to just say, "Hey, I'm going to cancel this because there's a state emergency, and we're just
Yep.
going to do it next month." Like,
Mm-hmm.
dude. So that's why his excuse doesn't even fucking work. Because dude, if I was an elected official and I had an emergency on my hands that was under my leadership, the last thing I would do is say, "Yeah, kid who totally controls my life is bullshit. He just wanted to leave because he doesn't give a fuck about his constituents." You know, like I don't blame his like I don't think his kids are at fault at all. They probably wanted to go and not stay in the cold. By the way, while we're talking about it, they left their fucking dog in the freezing house. Fuck them. Okay.
Wow. Wow. Just that's the cherry on top of the fucking douche Sunday that is Ted Cruz. The unmitigated gall of this man to abandon his constituents during a natural disaster boils my blood to the core, because like the dude, like you said, he is a very well off man. He could have been doing something, maybe buying blankets, volunteering his time, getting people like space heaters. I don't know, there's just a lot that he could have done with the even, you know, say he, I don't know how much a ticket to Cancun is right now, but I'm pretty sure even taking that little bit of money and just like handing it off to somebody would have done a lot more good than him fucking off to Cancun. While people who are supposed to be voting for him to represent their interests are freezing their fucking asses off. You absolute turd. Holy shit, I hate him.
So a flight from Dallas, Texas to Cancun, Mexico round trip is between 165 to $255. So
How much?
like between 150 to 250.
Huh.
So like not even expensive
No.
because like
No.
Cancun is like northern Mexico anyway.
My
So
dude.
and they allow for flights in from the U.S. because they know people are going there to vacation and spend money.
Oh, that annoys me. Oh, that annoys me. He really could have canceled that. That man, you said almost $200,000 taxpayer money, and he has health care, and he is escaping to Mexico so he can feel comfy, and he's blaming his daughter.
Yeah,
Like,
and the thing is, he has influence in the state as an elected official. I mean, Beto didn't even win the election, and he has enough influence to organize wellness checks on elders in areas without power. Like
what is
he didn't even win. Governor Abbott isn't doing shit. Your
he
Senator
doesn't
Cruz
even
isn't
go
doing
here,
shit.
but he's there and he's doing it.
Exactly. Like he didn't win. He's literally just a citizen who lost an election. That's it
Hmm.
in Texas, and he's doing that. And then AOC has raised $2.5 million to provide food and water and blankets and stuff to people who are still without power. And Beto's also organizing getting the generators that are in storage donated from other states that Abbott is not moving on. Like they got gathered from other states, brought to Texas, and they're sitting in storage containers. And Abbott needed to distribute them to areas, and he hasn't pulled the trigger on that. So Beto is the one doing it instead. Someone who does not have political influence in Texas.
That's kind of that's really fucked up and crazy. I mean, good on him. I'm glad he's like doing his shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't I don't love him. Like he's definitely like a liberal, but come on, like
I
literally
mean,
just do anything. You're in a like it's amazing. It's amazing. Like people want to shit on Tom Wolf all the fucking time, but he's done coronavirus lockdowns and he's provided like state welfare and all that shit to people who are suffering and small businesses and all that stuff. Like people are like he's like dictator this dictator that he's doing too much. Tom Wolf just let us live our lives. And then you have people like Ted Cruz and Governor Abbott who won't do anything during a natural disaster for their people. I'd really rather someone like Wolf. you know, and I don't love
right,
Wolf either, but holy
right.
shit, dude.
At this, like to a certain degree, yeah, you know, I don't, I don't suck that hard, but they're not
Yeah,
like Texas representatives shitty, but you know,
yeah, and I don't love Biden either. But all these conservatives are like, well, where's Biden? He's the president. Yada yada. I'm like, he declared Texas a state of emergency, right? They're sending federal aid and national guard to assist people, right? And he didn't even go to the state. He refused to travel there because he didn't want to take up resources while there, because the thing is, it would be officials would have to drop everything they're doing to respond to him. He would need Secret Service. They would need a place to stay, money, yada yada yada. He's just like, no, I'm not going to do that because like the state needs all the official help it can get, so I'm not going to bother them with my presence, but I'm going to send federal aid and declare it a state of emergency, which is the smartest thing to do in that situation.
hmm have you seen not to like? Have you seen the pictures of Ted Cruz trying to look like he's helping?
God, no. I don't think I want to. Is he just
It's like him handing
paper
me.
towels like Trump?
It's not as cringy as Trump, but I'm trying to find the image. Let me just.
All right.
I didn't want to
So while you're
start.
doing that, I'm just gonna wrap up the last thing about this. One thing I found that was really funny though, and I've seen it mostly through TikTok, is regardless of Texas's inability to deal with snow, some of the Texan ingenuity is very entertaining and very smart. One of them was a guy took up some 2x4s and a ping pong table, bent in half, right, like they fold, and he turned that into a plow on his Jeep, and he was plowing streets with that
Wait,
because
wait. Hold on. Go back.
he took a folding table
Folding
and
to
some 2x4s, and he bent the folding table so it was at like a 90-degree angle, the
nice.
2x4s, and fastened it to his Jeep, and he was plowing streets
Fuck yeah.
with the table.
Let's go. That's
Or I saw
amazing.
another guy who, because they needed to get their driveway clear, right?
Right.
But they didn't own a snow shovel because, like, most Texans don't own a snow shovel, you know?
Right.
So he was using oh my God, it was like an excess hood from a car. So he was using that and he was scraping up the snow and going like this with the whole thing.
Props to Texas, the indomitable human spirit and human ingenuity. That is incredible.
Yeah, Texan ingenuity is very entertaining. I think because of after all of this, the way that Abbott and Cruz have responded to their state, I won't be surprised if the next election cycle in 2022 Texas turns blue.
Yeah, this is like a an electoral disaster for the current administration and the people that are representing Texas at this
Yeah,
present moment. You know, that mayor who put his real spicy take out there on the internet, he resigned very quickly.
Mayor
Um,
Bootstrap.
Mayor
Yep.
Bootstrap, is that his name?
Mayor Boot. No,
Oh no, okay, but I was gonna say, what the fuck? No, that's not his name.
he was living
No,
true to it. If it was, no.
yeah,
I,
right.
I, I don't even care enough about his name because I read it. I was like, wow, fuck this guy. And then he resigned like 2 days later. I was like, well, he's gone, so fuck it. Who cares? Fuck him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But no, he was.
You want to bring us in on this Bill Gates thing?
Oh, this Bill Gates thing.
Because
Yeah,
you're knowledgeable about this and I'm not. So,
I'm a little bit, a little bit. I just thought that this was a fun little thing. So, Bill Gates, millionaire, Microsoft guy. You know, he does computers, right?
that's definitely a way to describe Bill Gates.
That is
Bill
that is
Gates, millionaire Microsoft guy.
exactly the basics.
Yeah. The
Um,
basics. Yeah.
as you can see, I have a strong grasp on the English language. Uh,
Hmm.
that being said, yes, Bill Gates, a mogul philanthropist, man who makes a lot of money because of technologies and such. Um, he has a thing called, him and his wife have the Bill and Melinda Foundation, right? They do, philanthropy. They have promised to make, at least specifically in these times, um, the COVID vaccine accessible to poorer countries and like helping the entire world, you know, get vaccinated and nullified from this current disaster we're dealing with, right? And lo and behold, Oxford University was doing vaccine research. They were kicking some ass and taking some names, so it would seem. And they were like, you know what? Once we get this shit done, we're gonna make it so anyone can take it and develop a vaccine from our like formula, essentially. Making it open source. But um, Bill Gates happens to be a contributor to uh, the Coalition of Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, somewhere around the number of $300,000. This comes from like a Business Insider article, and also talked about in the reason why I know about this, but I just want to bring it up because more people should know. But it's from a episode of Some More News with Cody Johnston.
Hmm.
But yeah, so right, Gates, you know, and his foundation kind of convinced Oxford to sign an exclusive deal with a pharmaceutical company called AstraZeneca, which is one of the companies that the Bill and Melinda Foundation has money in. So they're essentially enriching themselves via their connections and leverage in philanthropic money lending, and it's really kind of crazy and fucked up to say that out loud. Um,
So you're telling me that a multi-billionaire
mhm.
would do something to make more money?
Yo, it's fucking crazy.
I mean, like, look, liberals love to play this like, oh, well, Bill Gates donates and he's one of the better billionaires. Objectively, there's no good billionaire,
Charity is a
you
crock of
know?
shit. Uh,
Yeah.
just to be absolutely real, charity sucks because for the most part, it's part of this nonprofit industrial complex, which essentially boils down to rich people donate millions of dollars to foundations, and they get a nice little tax break. And not it doesn't even matter if the foundation is something that they even like own. And if they have a foundation, the money usually goes in and somehow gets into their pockets one way or the other, finds a way to enrich themselves in a way that is also tax fucking friendly. It's a long fucking there's a long history of this shit dating back to like the early 1900s of like rich people being like, ooh, I wanna hide, I wanna, uh, sorry, my bad. We can pause this. My bad. I completely lost my train of thought. Um, so artsy shit. Yeah, no. Charitable contributions are just like big ass tax breaks. You know what I mean? They put a bunch of money in, and they get money out. Sometimes it also works with art, and they'll like donate. They'll buy an art piece and they'll donate the art piece, and they'll get like massive tax break from it because
Yeah, or they'll contribute to a foundation, like the Barnes,
mhm.
um, like here in Philly. Like, there's only one billionaire that I think is like, I don't want to say objectively good or any of those things or even acceptable, but the top of the pack, and that's like Warren Buffett, only because he has plans to basically vacate himself and his estate of all of his money
Mhm.
when he dies, and he has plans for it to be invested into like infrastructure and like public programs and shit.
Yeah.
And he donates like billions every year, like not like your measly like 1 million from Bill Gates bullshit. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like he's like, oh, there's like a medical research fund. Fuck yeah, here's like $2 billion.
Oof.
That's like
Oof.
Warren Buffett.
Holy shit.
Um, and he said like, so yeah, he has some sort of like plan for when he passes, which is gonna be pretty soon because he's pretty fucking old. Where like basically his estate's going to be divided up and then donated and like reallocated into like infrastructure programs and shit like that. Um,
Whoa. What?
so
Oof.
again, I mean, he's still a billionaire, but he's like, you know what I mean? Like, if there was, you know,
Good evening.
oye, yo tú sabes.
Huh?
It means oye is like a greeting, like
Okay.
yo, and then ya tú sabes means you already know. Like, you know what it is, bitch. It's kind of like what it is. Um,
You know what it is, bitch.
but yeah, that's crazy that a multi-billionaire would be doing something to make more money. Oh my god,
That's crazy. At the expense, hold on, and and at the expense of other people, namely poor
Oh
folks.
god,
That's
imagine, dude,
crazy. How?
imagine.
Like that's wild. They were like, "Hey man, I hear you're doing this stuff for free. You're gonna do an open source free thing? No, nah,
It's
man.
all it's like
So
it's like all the MAGA cultists who are like, well, Trump donated his presidential salary. I'm like, yeah, but he got taxpayers to send billions at his fucking businesses.
yep,
Like,
and a bunch of that
what do
money.
you mean? He didn't need that $400,000 a year salary if he was making like hundreds of millions in golf trips to Mar-a-Lago. Like, he
Golf
had to
trips,
pay for the Secret Service detail, the
foreign,
travel,
foreign nationals
dude.
staying at Mar-a-Lago.
But you'll never convince them that it was anything but.
Not
But
at all.
um, moving on because like Trump's not our president anymore anyway, so fuck him.
No, I mean, listen. I think not today, but soon. We should do like a little post game Trump analysis and some things that maybe we should look ahead for because
The
I
the,
think
the Trump
that's
shitathon.
the Trump shitathon.
Yeah, the
Uh,
roast of Donald Trump.
no, absolutely not. I will never. No more roasts of Donald Trump. This is not a fun time. It's not a haha.
Oh, it's a Trump analysis.
This
Okay,
is Trump analysis.
okay.
Trump Athelon. No, but like fuck him. Like seriously though, a skewering of Trump. But That being said, no, this whole thing really shit sucks. Bill Gates is really shitty, and it's kind of crazy that on top of that, there is a sort of right wing, um, uh, weirdly like blind nut finds or no, blind squirrel finds a nut twice a day type situation.
Blind nut.
Blind nut. Uh,
Yeah.
but no, blind, or I don't know. I guess blind nut makes a baby. I don't know.
Blind sperm finds the egg.
Something. Anyway, that's not important. We moving past it. Um, like I've seen a lot of like the QAnon and the conservative stuff where they're like, oh yeah, Bill Gates is evil. Bill Gates is evil, and I'm like, no. Just because you're saying that, I'm like, no. But then I like look into Bill Gates and I'm like, oh, okay. You guys think he's some sort of vampire thing that's like eating babies for, you know, um, their spinal juices or
A
whatever.
child sex cabal in the bottom of a
Child,
DC pizza shop.
yeah, no, some crazy shit like that. Um,
No,
no.
he's just a billionaire.
He's got stupid money and he's doing things to hoard even more of it at the expense of people who need help, especially in a situation like this. And it really fucking sucks to like peel back the curtain on what then the goddamn is you doing with this thing.
Bill Gates is a billionaire, and billionaires are bad. They don't have to be pedophiles to be bad.
Exactly. That's just a little PSA, like to the conspiracy nerds. They don't have to be space vampires to be bad. Capitalism allows really shitty people, or even not even shitty people, but just you know people to do the shittiest version of the thing that they could possibly do. Because you know what Bill Gates could have done? Bill Gates could have just kept on funding Oxford's research, let it be open source, and everyone would have gotten better. And Bill Gates could have like slapped his name on it. We could have called the vaccine Billium. Get your dose of Billium. You know, it'll be for Bill Gates, and he'll get his credit, and everyone will clap, and we'll make him a cake. We'll make him a cake for being the best and helping. And he would have still been a billionaire.
He doesn't need to make more money.
He doesn't need to do this. And now he's like through his actions are limiting the access to a certain degree of like necessary medical uh, bullshit. You know what I mean? And it fucking sucks. It's like fuck you, dude. Fuck you.
Yeah, yeah. So, just a fun segue here,
Do a
because
fun
we were just
segue. I
talking
love
about
segues.
the post analysis of Donald Trump. Let's talk about the post analysis of Dead as Dirt Rush Limbaugh for like half a second.
Oh, yeah, he is dead.
Look, we don't need to say a lot about him that isn't already known. I just want to say the world is a better place marginally.
Yeah, that's it's kind of a good thing. Rush Limbaugh, if you're not a millennial or older, you might not know who he is, but Rush Limbaugh is a uh, right wing radio host, one of the original like talk radio guys, I guess. Is that what they were called? I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah, he would just like get on and say shit and be raunchy and racist, and uh, he did a real good job at radicalizing a lot of our parents and grandparents towards the right because he was kind of a Nazi. I say kind of, but he really was. Um, he's got such greatest hits as saying that like football is like watching a fight between the Bloods and the Crips, essentially, which is Wow. And
Yeah.
then
Here, let's play Rush Limbaugh bingo. All right, so he said that.
okay.
Okay, that's racism. All right, so another racism for 500, Alex. He said that the guy who shot and killed MLK deserved a Medal of Honor.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's super racist.
Mm-hmm.
That's next level racist.
Racism again for 1,000, Alex.
Okay.
Um, he said, in regards to slavery, uh, at least the streets were safer after dark back then.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's really fucking racist.
Yep. All right. So here, misogyny. We're touching on all the topics. Misogyny.
Oh, all the
Uh,
greats, all the greats.
he said that in regards to rape culture, that the left is obsessed with this thing called consent, and then if you don't have consent, it's somehow bad, and everyone's like, "Yeah, dude, what?"
Oh man, that one hurts me.
Or he said that was it women women who become feminists and what do you call it rally against like rape and sexual assault, they're actually just craving for it. They're the ones who want to be raped. um
Uh
and then the last one I know off the top of my head is we're on the homophobia tick now. Here we go. He
ooh,
said that
fun.
when a gay man turns his back to you, it's not an insult, it's an invitation.
Ooh. That's gross. Is there more? There's more? No.
No, that's actually all I have off the top of my head. Those are the ones that stuck out to me the most. I'm sure there's a cajillion more that are way worse.
Oh, that's yeah, no, there's a lot of really bad ones. There was something about oh, he said Donovan McNabb wouldn't be getting so much praise if he wasn't black.
He's like a borderline Hall of Fame quarterback. I don't think he deserves to go into the Hall of Fame. He wasn't that good, but
I don't know. I don't know enough about sports to tell you.
yeah. So to finish this piece off, just because all I want to do is just mention that, haha, he's dead. Um, is my favorite TikTok I saw was someone was like, "Can someone answer this for me? Why does Google say that Rush Limbaugh is 5'11" when he's actually -6 feet?"
Dead. He's -6 feet. That is hurtful. That oh, okay.
I saw someone post "R.I.P. Rush Limbaugh" in um, this sports Discord I'm a part of, so I just responded with just "LOL."
Wait, say that one more time.
Someone in this sports Discord I'm a part of posted "R.I.P. Rush Limbaugh" because he's like a conservative. So I just responded with like "LOL."
You should say
Yeah,
rest in piss.
that's in piss.
God,
Rush Limbaugh and death equals another gender neutral bathroom.
that is true. It does.
Yeah,
No, he's a really fucked up guy, man.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure he supported Trump throughout the insurrection. Um,
Oh, very much so. I mean, he was the person who created all these these right wing political talking heads with
yeah,
their garbage opinions and ideals. I mean, he was the guy. He was the one who started that. If the left had, I'm not going to say he's on the left, but if the moderates and the Dems had like a Larry King, this guy he's the other side. You know,
he's the Larry King of the right.
Yeah, I mean Larry King wasn't exactly left anyway, but he was probably the most famous person who didn't have garbage opinions. You know. So the last bit here I wanted to talk about, since we're just about done, is where we are now with Biden's where we are now with Biden's COVID relief plan,
Mm-hmm.
the $1.9 trillion plan. So it's been bouncing around a lot. It's passed the House a number of times, but it's faced some issues in the Senate. So one of the major issues right now with the Bill 3.0 is, and one of the reasons why it's very clear that Biden is a moderate and we shouldn't have expected anything otherwise, and we need our liberal viewers to move farther left and understand this.
Yes.
Is that so? One of the things that Biden talked about while campaigning and when he ran was forgiving up to $10,000 worth of student loan debt
Mm-hmm.
per individual.
Yeah.
So in the most recent plan that's drafted up, he is again proposing up to $10,000 worth of student loan debt relief per individual. The
Yeah.
problem is the way that that's structured is it considers that relief to be taxable income, which you would have to include on your taxes as
Huh.
income. So for some people, that would price them out of certain tax brackets, and then
Right.
also price them out of things like receiving food stamps, welfare, um, things. It would change student loans and stuff like that if you fill out FAFSAs. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Oh, that's fucked up.
it would or like grants and things like that. It basically hurts a lot of people by upping their income by $10,000 if you have up to $10,000 worth of debt. So if I were to receive this relief, I would get about $6,000 in quote unquote relief, but then it would up. I would have to include that on my taxes as taxable income.
Right.
So instead, I would actually make $6,000 more, which would affect things like how much I receive in subsidy for my health insurance plan that I purchased through the marketplace,
Right.
right?
Right.
And it's affordability to me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because I receive a subsidy to make it affordable.
Yeah.
And now that I'm married, it affects the affordability and the coverages that are provided onto Trish and Norma also.
Jesus.
So that's the current issue with that specific part.
Right.
And then we're just, in a couple places we're there. So like one thing is it would be $1,400 per person with an additional $1,200 per child. For individuals earning up to $75,000 a year or up to $150,000 in a household.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so let's see. It extends pandemic unemployment assistance, which is the weekly $400. Actually, it's weekly $300 right now, and it would boost it to $400 through August 29th of 2021.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Um, yeah, so that would be nice for some people.
Right. Right.
The $300 was supposed to phase
Oh.
out in mid-March, so it would extend it out to August.
Hmm. Nice.
Includes a 15% increase in food stamp benefits through September instead of having it expire at the end of June.
Yeah.
Let's see. Roughly 19.1 billion to state and local governments to help low-income households cover back rent assistance, and utility bills. Also, 10 billion towards struggling homeowners who can't pay their mortgages, utilities, and property taxes. And then another 5 billion to help states and localities assist those at the risk of homelessness.
Well, would you look at that? Lots of
Tax credits for families and workers, increased pay for
keeps going.
essential workers, increasing the child tax credit to $3,600 per child instead of $3,000.
I'm gonna go have some kids. Fuck
Optional paid sick and family leave for COVID.
that. Okay.
So it looks like
Can
you would
we?
be guaranteed 2 weeks pay if you
Right.
contracted COVID, and up to 10 weeks of unpaid family leave.
Wow.
Let's see. Bill will provide nearly 130 billion to K-12 schools to help students return in the classroom. Don't actually care about that one. I don't believe that we should be doing any in-person learning at all.
No, we really. I'm very much against in-person learning at this point. I think that that is quite possibly one of the like that's stupid. That's really stupid. Maybe I'm a dumb. Maybe there's a scientific reason. Maybe there's someone like I want. I know you're shaking your head at me, Jed, but I'm open. Here's the thing. I'm open to being wrong. if there is a scientific reason why we should be letting children, the germiest, stupidest versions of ourselves, you know what I mean? Like, and no offense to children, you know what I mean? Like they are wonderful. They are the future. They deserve few more rights and responsibilities. You know what I mean? More autonomy, I think, in their education. But that's a conversation for a different time. I just think kids are smart to a degree, but they're also our most vulnerable and prone to harming themselves. Just by the nature of the fact that they are baby deers strolling through our world, clunkily bumping into everything at once. Yeah. So that being said, I don't. If there's a scientific reason why during this pandemic that we haven't really gotten a handle on, we should be putting these children in some of the most underfunded, poorly fucking maintained, shitty infrastructure having school systems across the nation. Um, you know that then I'm open to the idea, but other than that, it just sounds to me, Mister, I don't know a whole lot of shit about a lot of shit. Sounds like a bad idea, you know.
Yeah, so there's not really a good reason outside of economic standpoints because, if we're talking about people who are in fact hurting financially from COVID or they are lucky enough to have jobs, school is childcare. You know what I mean? It provides childcare from the morning to the afternoon for a lot of parents who can't afford to, pay for, anything along those lines. So I understand that there's a lot of people struggling right now with work and all those things, and children who have to be home for online schooling. From a health standpoint, no, there's no real good reason to do it. And story time. We had a virtual PTA meeting a number of months ago, back in November,
Okay.
uh, for Norman School District, and the idea was uh, to discuss continued online learning, returning, or like hybrid, right? And what they did was they settled on hybrid in the sense that you could make a decision as to whether or not you were going to return in person or not, and it was up to you. And obviously, we said no. And a lot of the people, who were returning their children in person said, blah blah blah, you're scared, like you're holding everyone else back because you're making the teachers have to do extra, like yada yada yada, right? 2 weeks ago, there's some kid had COVID, went to school, there's an outbreak, and now a child in Norma's grade, third grade, has died from
Whoa,
COVID.
what the fuck?
So it's a
Yeah.
scenario where it's kind of like, I hate to be like the I told you so about a dead child, but it's like, dude, like, pandemic doesn't go away just because you're fucking sick and tired of your kid, dude. Like,
Yeah, and that's kind of like not, I don't want to like pour salt in a wound. I would prefer to be empathetic because that really sucks that these social pressures are becoming so strong because I think a lot of the people that are like, "Oh yeah, we need to open shit up." They're doing it because like everyone around them is saying it and it's like I don't know, man. I don't think that's a good idea. Maybe you should just maybe don't.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like holy shit, man. These weird attitudes are killing kids.
Yeah,
Like you're. My heart goes out to that family. You know what I mean? Like
and
that is
not even thinking about all the people. Like, the thing is, like, it's a disease. Um, it spreads. So you think of everyone who gets infected and then gives it on to someone else, to someone else, to someone else. Your grandparents who are the most vulnerable. There's
yeah.
a reason why we've had more than 500,000 people die in a year in the U.S. Because despite some of our best efforts, a disease is incredibly volatile, and
Yeah.
and this is one of the most infectious diseases that we've had in a long time. It's not your average flu,
No, it's
you
not.
know.
Fucking COVID
Um,
19 has some of the craziest hands in all of the disease kingdom.
Yeah, like this disease got hands, bro.
This disease wishes death upon all of us, and it wakes up every day um, saying, "I'm going to get these motherfuckers," and it keeps doing it.
Yeah,
Um, I don't.
successfully to the point where it's now hit the gym, the metaphorical gym, and we're getting mutations of it in the U.S.
Yep,
You
it's
know,
having. Yep. Hmm.
that
Hmm.
the COVID vaccine is not even meant for. So, but yeah, just to finish this section up, health insurance subsidies and Medicaid, it would increase the income cap for subsidies. So people who make less would get more in health insurance subsidy to either help them financially or make more expensive, better coverage plans more accessible financially to them, which would be good because, I would get a large subsidy to cover Trish and Norma based on my income, but I'm still going to end up paying like 200 and change a month for a decent plan, like not even a great one. And Trish has a lot of needs, and so does Norma with like medications and possible hospitalizations and all those things.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, let's see, more money for small businesses, and the emergency injury disaster loan program, payroll and paycheck protection programs, yada yada yada, aids to states, vaccines and testing. He believes now this was a press conference from Biden, which I watched on Good Morning America, where he said that in collaboration with Dr. Fauci, they do plan or predict that we will be uh, back to normal by 2022 if we
Hmm.
roll out the vaccines at the schedule that we should be rolling them out,
Wow.
which is a majority vaccinated populace by the end of the summer.
Huh.
So so here's
Here's here's here's
hoping.
here's hoping that by 2022 everything is normal again. Jesus Christ. Or not even normal again. Things are just better, but it's probably.
Yeah. The last part of the legislation would increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2025 in yearly stages. It would also guarantee that tipped workers, youth workers, and workers with disabilities are paid the full federal minimum wage. And that plan would raise the wages of 27 million workers, according to the U.S. Budget Committee.
Nice.
The problem with that is that this bill clears the House very easily every single time. The
Yeah.
problem is the Senate. We own the majority Senate, so we should not be having these issues. But there are two Democratic senators who are some fucking sneaky fucking weasels who
Who?
keep voting it down.
Who?
Senator Kirsten Sinema of Arizona and Joe Manchin of West Virginia. They have
Mm.
been holding up the relief bill in the Senate because of the minimum wage increase.
Why? Why? What is the reason? Why would you do this?
Those are the only two. Every single other Democrat has been voting yes in the Senate. It is those two Democrats, and we are not winning the majority because of them because it's a 50-50 split.
But why? Do you know what their reasons are?
I don't know what the reasons are. I just know
It just
who they are.
it sounds like I don't know if we have any listeners in Arizona or West Virginia, but it sounds like you guys need to start maybe I don't know looking into somebody who's gonna vote for that in 2022 because
Yeah.
bro, that is not it's not looking good for a lot of us, man. That's not
Mm-hmm.
um
So
mm-mm.
this newest version that I just read off to you will be voted on in the House on tomorrow, on Monday. So
Tomorrow.
uh, it is expected to pass the House seamlessly. The House has not had issues.
Yeah, the House never has issues, dude.
It is the Senate.
Mm.
Uh, so we'll see how that one goes. But those are the two Democrats that are holding it up, and it's because of the 15 minimum wage increase.
It's so strange. I wonder what their motivation is there. What's the guy's name? What's
This is a shout out to Senators Kirsten Sinema of Arizona
fuck you?
and Joe Manchin of West Virginia. Fuck you. You are some dirty rat bastards. You need to vote this bill through because it's going to help millions of Americans, and I need my $1,400, bro. Okay, I need to pay my 2020 taxes because I owe $1,100 in taxes. So
Joe Man, oh, he looks like a bird.
I'm sure he fucking does, dude. And birds aren't real, so he's clearly a fucking he's part of the simulation.
Thank you for joining us today on the Don't Panic podcast. You can watch us, see my lovely face and Jed's handsome face at youtube.com/ Don't Panic Podcast. We're also on Spotify, Anchor, uh, Ham Sandwich.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah. We're available everywhere that podcasts are available. Thanks, Anchor. This episode is sponsored by Anchor.
Sponsored by
And
Anchor.
also, please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/ Don't Panic Podcast. This episode will be up next week on YouTube. You can get it early via audio if you subscribe to the Patreon.
That's 228. That's when you're gonna see this.
I don't know what this face is
I don't
making,
know.
but
It's
all right.
terrible.
Have a good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, indeed.